Hello, this is Kelly from Root Pursuit, and today we are working on ideas to use your mason jar stamp. So I finally found one of these. It's been on my wish list for a while, and I got it for a good deal. I'm super happy about that, and I thought there are tons of ideas that we can do with this stamp. So I've got a bunch of ideas for you today, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing is you can stamp it on your page and just kind of leave well, the background, or you can stamp it on and cut it out. So like normally it looks kind of cool on a book page. This is how I did most of how I used most of them, which is basically just stamping that jar right on the book page. Most of them I used the black ink pad, but there was one, I think they're called Bell mason jars. They're sort of that turquoise color. So if you have a turquoise stamp, it's kind of cool to use your turquoise color. So that was something that occurred to me as I was doing this. So, and you can tear it out better, or you can simply cut around it. So you can do it on lined paper. So you're basically making it into a little journal card. It's kind of a small journal card, but it still works. You can, this is another example that I did, which is basically you stamp the jar, and then I had some vines. That's what I kind of call them. They're the stems to flowers essentially, and then you just stamp those, and then find a flower and stamp that. So that's one way that you can do that. So you can also stamp it on pattern paper. And in this case, I used I think those are little butterflies. So if you have little animal stamps or insects, bees, I have a ladybug here, so you can just kind of stamp those in, and then if they're a flying item, you can just have one of them outside of the page. So for these, I would probably kind of a layering technique, but tear around the edges until you get the size, and then I would probably put it on another piece of paper, maybe some cardstock, something a little heavier weight, to put that item on. So that's another option. Now we'll get into some more detailed ones here. Let's see here. But yeah, okay. One idea that I had was this jam jar. So I'm just going to explain how I created it. I found some strawberry stamps, and I didn't have any of the red ink, so I ended up just inking it with my brown. You could use black on some pink or red paper, which is what I did. I fussy cut around them, and then I just glue them right on there. And when you have like a jar, you need some, I'm gonna get out my baker's twine while I'm at it. Let's see here. So I thought it was really cute to use the gingham, that red check. And I did just fussy cut this pattern. I just kind of hand drew it. And these you can cut, use your corner rounder on this, and it is rounded at the bottom edge. Let me hold that up a little bit close there. So that's the shape. And then I took my black marker and just kind of drew in little triangles that imitate the gathering of what would be the gingham fabric. The baker's twine, I it's 2 rows of baker's twine there, and that's the loop. And then at this end, they were both loose, and then I tied the bow like that at the end. So I just started halfway, folded it, glued it, and then glued it to here. And then my little strings, I'll untie it so you can see what I did. Yeah, so it literally is just 2 pieces of string glued on and then tied like you would a bow, just like that. Yeah, so I thought that one turned out really cute. That was my little idea for the fruit jar. So this one is, you take your, so I did a black, I used the black ink to stamp it on the book page, and then I drew stems with the, what do you call that? The color pencils, and I used green and blue. So I used mostly green, and then I sort of highlighted it with that navy blue. And these are high gloss images. So I'm putting a little, I didn't have access to it when I was crafting with friends, so, oh, and the butterfly too. And so that'll be a little more matte finish now. So yeah, and then I did slit this part of the paper of the book page to slide that flower in there. Now it just depends. I didn't color over that lip of the jar because it didn't look right. So, because you wouldn't be able to see through there. So, all right, so that's one. And that, don't put anything on top of that. And then I do have a lot of bugs. So this is a good option if you have, you know, maybe some, I think Tim Holtz one packets of ephemera. I think that's where I got this one. So maybe it's a good option for a bug, perhaps, and then more baker's twine. So this one I wrapped, I'm gonna pull this one up so you can see it again. I wrapped that one 3 times, and then I tied it together. So the end, it ended here, and it ended up here. You can see that. And then I tied those 2 together. And then I put it on that striped paper. So just a kind of a different look there. Let's see what else we've got. I don't remember what I did. I got some boring ones. These are the last 3. So these are all B ones. Yeah, so really basic. Just 1 B. I got a little collect card, and then, you know, so I've got the layer of the stamp on the book page, and then the book page on the floral. So that's how that ended up. Here's just one that I haven't done anything with yet. But, so you can either, so this one, if you've had the jar open, then you can have one flying out, like I showed you in the earlier shot, or you can put a lid on. So I'll just show you how I did the lid, or I think I have a trick to the lid actually. So we're gonna do green. This is kind of high gloss. Let me not use that. I'm not gonna use that. I'll find a little scrap of paper somewhere that will work. Maybe we will. Oh, just one scrap of paper. Oh, I found one. Okay. It's kind of weird. It's wood grain. Okay. So, I actually just created essentially an oval. But if you don't really feel comfortable fussy cutting that, you just kind of line up. It overlaps a little bit. Ta-da! And then you cut a rectangle. So you want it a little bit higher than the lip and cover it a little bit lower. So I'm going to trim off a little bit more. And a little more. So I do kind of eye it, but you just want it to overlap. You want it to be a little bit higher and a little bit. Okay, so then once you've got that, you can use your corner rounder to do the edges. You don't, I just kind of freehand, but you don't have to do that. And you do, I mean, essentially you're creating an oval. Now, I didn't do this with the corner rounder, so let's see if that works. I think so. And then I did take my gold opaque metallic to give it sort of a metallic effect, and I just kind of rolled it around the edge so that it reflects a little bit. Not too much, and not too thick, I should say. Just enough so it kind of shines. And I'll pull her up there so you can see it. There it goes. So there's that. And then I do two curved in lines. Oof, those are kind of terrible. That's really terrible. I did really good there. What happened? Hug on it. Okay, so then you put it on the jar. It still looks pretty good. It's not horrible. It's not great. I'm gonna have to do another one. I just pressed too hard on the line. Maybe I'll try to tone it down with this black. And yes, I might make it worse. That happens. But you know what? It's only paper. That's right, it's only paper. This lid has a mind of its own. So you kind of get the idea. You just want to use thinner lines. Just thinner lines. So that your lid looks like this one. There. Just kind of center it. And then you have a jar lid. It still looks good. It looks good. See? Even, I messed it up, but at the end of the day, it looks fine. Okay, I'm okay with it. So that is how you make a lid. Other people can probably do that better, but there's probably an easier way. That was still a pretty easy way, so we're calling it a win. I'm gonna call it a win. We're going for it. All right, so that's a ton of things that we can do with that mason jar stamp. So I hope this gives you some ideas to kind of maybe make your own, and I'm sure there'll be lots of creative variations that people will come up with. So good luck, and I, as always, thank you for coming along. I'll talk to you later.